on, YouTube? It is April 13th. As you can see, I did not have time to make the macro video. The macro video yesterday. But what I did do is I just got home from the gym. I just finished the same meal I ate yesterday morning. Just the burrito and a couple of egg whites, some cheese. I wrote down some stuff to kind of go over macro counting. Now, my biggest fear with making a macro counting video is that it could take a long time to explain. And I feel like the number one absolute thing you have to know going into it is, well, I guess there's a few things that you should know as precautions. So the first biggest precaution is that everybody's body is different. So for instance, what I use for my carbohydrates and for my fats and my proteins might not be what's good for you. Everybody's body works differently based on how they've eaten in the past. Some people's body work really well with higher fats and lower carbohydrates. Some people's bodies work really great with high fats and low or medium fat, high carbs and lower medium fats. Some people feel so lethargic when they hit 40 grams or lower on fats, and some people can go as low as 30, 35 grams. It really just depends on your body and how it works. So that's the number one thing getting into it. Second thing, see, it's like I haven't even started, we're already a minute and a half in. So, second thing, it can become very difficult once you start counting macros to not count macros. The problem being that every time you see a food, you know an estimate of how many carbs and how much protein, how much fat, how many calories is this item you're eating. And that can mess with you mentally. It can turn you, very orthorexic, which I've mentioned before. And I think I mentioned a lot because I feel like I was on the verge of being orthorexic when I was clean eating 2.5. You gotta watch out, when I eat a big bowl of ice cream, it's very hard for me not to think about how much fat's in this ice cream, how much carbs are in this protein, in this ice cream, how much calories is in this sundae. And that's not very healthy. If you're balanced and you eat fairly well, 80% very healthy, nice, whole foods, and 20%, some in-between foods, there should be no problem if you're having a big, massive bowl of ice cream if you only do it, every couple of weeks or something, or if it's your birthday, you should be able to eat, pizza until your belly hurts, obviously I don't promote binging on any sense, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is, there's room for a lot of mental bad versions you have with food, okay? So I just want to put that out there to start. If you've decided that macro counting is your way, I feel like macro counting is for people who are very, very into fitness. Whether you are a trainer and you train other people, or you're going to be competing, macro counting is for people who get up every day and the first thing on their mind is their fitness goals, or I don't even want to say fitness goal, what their training goals are. Because when I wake up, I don't think oh man, I'm going to work on my six-pack today. I just think oh man, what am I gonna train today? And it's more of a therapy like that and something I love to do rather than a goal I'm trying to particularly meet all the time. Of course, I do have my long-term and short-term goals, but again, it's every day. I'm not planning on training just for a few years. I plan on training for pretty much the rest of my life, and I'm sure that training will change what it looks like as I move on and other things happen in my life. So what we're going to discuss in this video, because now we're at 4 minutes, is I'm going to talk about how to get started on your macro counting and not necessarily how to, I'm going to start with how to get started, okay? And then I'll make another video more in depth, and then, I'll keep trying to get a little more in depth, but I'm really going to start from a very beginner, okay? Now, I've already gone back in my last few videos and explained what macros were. Your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins, okay? So, I'm going to talk about kind of the main starts of macro counting. The first thing you want to do is download MyFitnessPal. I don't know any other good tracking thing. It's free. You can pay if you're really trying to get specific, but that would be something later on, not as a start. Starting off, I would just download MyFitnessPal, get used to the app, kind of figure out how to barcode scan and what that looks like, okay? Then I would say to track 2 full weeks of just what you eat. Now, don't try to think oh, I'm counting my macros, I'm going to eat really super clean. eat what you eat on the regular. You know, what do you normally eat? Don't overeat, but don't undereat either. You know, like, eat your normal 2 weeks, because what your normal 2 weeks, at the end of those 2 weeks, you're gonna have the average calories you took in. It's gonna have the average fats, the average proteins, the average carbohydrates that you took in for those 2 weeks. That number, is it the median or the mean? So you're going to take all those numbers from those 14 days, and you're going to find the mean of them, which is pretty much the average amount. Like, what's your average day look like? Is it 2,800 calories? Is it 2,200 calories? Is it 3,400 calories? Okay? Then you're also going to look at all your fats. So you took in 80 grams of fats, 9 out of your 14 days, and 50 grams of fats, the other, 5 days. So maybe your average would be 75, something like that, right? 70, 75. So all that's doing is telling you what you weigh right now, and how much you have to take in to weigh exactly what you are right now. And that's it. So that's all I'm going to start with, because in reality, if you don't know how to track macros, this would be your first step, and you wouldn't need a second step until you hit 2 weeks. Now, I'm going to talk about it more frequently than that, or at least I'm going to try. But, so the first things you want to do is you want to download MyFitnessPal. The second thing is you want to track your macros for 2 weeks, okay? You want to find those are your maintenance calories. That's what it is if you don't want to gain another pound and you don't want to lose another pound, okay? And I guess what I should also say is you want to weigh yourself the first day, the 7th day, and the 14th day. And you want to make sure you didn't go up or down in any weights, okay? Because what you're going to do is you're going to take that number after those 2 weeks, and you're going to adjust the number. And you're either going to go up if your scale... So let's say your scale went down in the 2 weeks, okay? You started at 150, and by the end of 2 weeks, you were 148, okay? That means you're actually at a lower maintenance calories. That means you're at a deficit. A deficit is when you're lower than what your average amount of calories are, okay? Which is your maintenance calories. So when I say maintenance, that means just for you to live exactly how you are, not to lose or gain any weight, okay? So let's say, ideally, what you're doing is you're not changing any weight. You're starting at 150, 14 days later you're ending at 150. You're using the same amount. You're tracking every single day on your phone, and then what you're doing is you're finding like the range, the average that you were doing every single day, and you didn't change any weight. That's kind of the ultimate goal here, because then from that's your true maintenance calories. So from there, if you want to gain weight, we're going to up them, and if you want to lose weight, we're going to lower them. And that's really all macros are, okay? And then after a few trial runs of macro counting, you can see, oh, should my fats be this high? Should my proteins be this low? Should my carbs be this? I will say that, just to start off, what we're gonna do, your second step is you're gonna take your maintenance calories and you're gonna have your protein be 1 gram per body weight. That's an average, guys. You can find anywhere from 0.5 per pound of body weight all the way up to 1.5. I always say if you're trying to gain muscle, we're going to do 1. If you're trying to lose muscle, we're going to do 0.8. So let's just be on average. We're going to do 1 gram of muscle per pound of body mass, okay? Then we're also going to do no more than 25% of your maintenance calories of fat. And we're going to start at 25 first, because we want to start as high as we can and then go low. And then the rest is going to be your carbohydrates. So that's pretty much it. That's all that it's going to take. But it is long. It's taking me 10 minutes just to explain this little part of this video. So that's all I'm going to touch on right now. Next video, you'll see a leg day and some more eating, probably traveling and eating or something, or weekend eating, maybe even cheat day eating. I think that's a good thing to throw in here. So next video will be a leg day with probably a cheat day, and then the next video I'll dive back into macros. So please feel free to leave below if you have any specific questions about macros. I could sit here for literally an hour and talk about them and probably get everything that you guys want to know in that video. But again, it's so temperamental also to the person. For example, real quick, Rob was doing his macros, and he was doing it for a long time, and he kind of hit a plateau. He wasn't losing any weight, so then I sat down with him, we went over his ratios, his percentages, and we actually upped his caloric intake by 100 calories, and he started losing weight. Okay, and that's because his macros were off, because his fats were extremely too high, his protein was extremely too low, and his carbohydrates were all right. But so what we did was we upped his protein, we lowered his fat, clicked right into gear, and now he's not on a plateau. He's starting to slowly go back down in his weights, and not his weights, his weight, and that's his goal, okay? So it's been great. Sometimes, you know, and again, I can't help but emphasize, I added 100 calories. So sometimes it's not always about lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering. A lot of times it's about what is your body made to do? What are you supposed to be doing for your body in order to gain the most, okay? I know that I can't really go too high on my fats, but because then I start collecting fat, but then I also know I can't go too low, because once I hit lower than like 40 grams personally, 35 I think is the lowest I've ever gotten, I get really tired and lethargic and I just have no energy, okay? But then at the same time, I can have a fairly good amount of carbohydrates and work really well. But once I go over like 300, then I start to also feel tired and lethargic. So, you know, my body is really, I'm really learning what are good numbers for me. And I could tell you based on my numbers what, you know, based on my numbers, I can calculate the calories, and then I could tell you if I was gonna weigh more than $1.50 or less than $1.50. So once you do learn, it becomes a lot easier and you're able to really, really work on what you're going after. But the other thing I want to just throw in here real quick, and I hope this doesn't make the video super long, but if you're just starting to train and you're trying to look to build muscle, because that's what most people I talk to, they want to build muscle, but then they want to lose fat, right? The best thing I can give you is, you know, try to bulk at first for a solid year, even 2 years if you're feeling good about it, if you don't have much of a body image issue. Try to bulk up, you know, that's how you're going to build your muscle, so that when you do cut, you'll have muscle underneath. Okay, if you go back and watch any of my videos and stuff, like, I actually was bulking for a long time. I didn't know I was bulking. I just went from eating really crappily to eating healthier, and then to eating too healthy, and then I reeled it back in, and now I'm kind of at a really good medium. I feel really good where I'm at right now. So, you know, but if I didn't take the time to go to the gym and bulk up and focus on eating more because I just wanted to get bigger, I wouldn't have had any muscle underneath. Now, don't get me wrong, if I could go back, I would have stayed bulkier for longer, but I think I lost a lot of muscle when I started eating super, super, super clean. But that's another video. I'm going to cut this off right here, and again, feel free to leave comments below, questions below. I've never really made a really in-depth macro video, so this is going to be my attempt. Maybe what I'll do is, after I've kind of finished all of them, it'll probably take 4 or 5, you know, videos to get it all out there. Maybe I'll try to make a recap that is a lot more fluid for you guys. Alright? Alright, that's it. Keep training, working hard. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.